Good to hear that. The long-term effects of inadequate funding on primary schools has led to a crisis, which, if not properly addressed, will continue to have negative knock-on effects on our children's education and well-being. And this is especially so for children with additional needs, who also face many barriers to inclusivity, such as short school days, reduced timetables and permanent exclusion from school. And the prevalence of autism is increasing, and the Department of Education and the NCSE need to be planning to ensure that they meet the needs of students going forward, which they are not currently doing. And Sinn Féin is committed to making sure our education system is adequately funded and is inclusive and accessible for all children and all types of learners. And Article 24 of the UNCRPD, which Ireland ratified in 2018, places obligations on the government to ensure that people with disabilities are not excluded from education on the basis of disability and can access education on an equal basis with others. However, the present strategy from the government seems to be only to react to crises. I mean, currently parents are applying to anything up to 20 schools for places for their child, and they can receive 20 refusals, and that is soul destroying for everybody involved. I had one parent contact me recently whose child is only in 3rd class, and she's already worrying over 3 years out about where she will find an appropriate school place for her child. She should not have to worry 3 months out. That planning should be in place. Another parent thought she was getting ahead of the posse by looking for a place 12 months out. Again, and to find there was no place in her locality at all that would be able to facilitate her child. And you know, the planning is needed and not reacting. And SEND data should be gathered from the schools via the POD system, the primary online database, to guarantee sufficient and appropriate school places for children with additional educational needs within their communities. And there's huge concern still regarding the removal of complex needs as criterion for set hours. And the NCSE explained that the reason that this was done was because the information around students was not forthcoming from the CDNTs, because they are not staffed and are not actually working as they should be. But using the POD system would actually address that, because teachers know their students and they know their needs, and they will be able to input that information very easily and ensure that children's needs in the school are being met. Special education teacher allocations for schools were reprofiled during 2022 and come into effect in September 2022 for 2 years. But according to the NCSE, in their annual report, 362 schools applied for an exceptional review during that school year. And of those, 60 were put forward for review, 39 only were allocated an increase in set hours. The red tape and bureaucracy around that whole process needs to be addressed, because it is off-putting. I think it is designed to be off-putting so that schools won't actually seek a review of their set hours. That certainly was the case when I was teaching. You were almost afraid to look for a review in case you lost the small amount of resources that you actually had, and it needs to be addressed. Set allocations and SEN provisions have been consistently under-supported for many years. Austerity measures introduced in 2011 reduced SEN resources by 15%, and those cuts have never fully been reversed. The government has also failed to listen to the concerns of many teachers who have packed their bags and headed overseas. It is SEN pupils, indeed it is all our students who are going to be adversely affected, but particularly the SEN students who will be. So funding education needs adequate investment. Minister, you referenced the summer provision as well. Again, while we have seen an increase, and it is very welcome in the last few years, of the number of schools who are participating, there are still not sufficient numbers of schools participating to meet the needs of the students who most need the summer provision, those with the most complex needs. They are being still left out of the scheme. And in a lot of cases, the home support, the home provision is not going to meet their needs. They need to be in a school-based provision. And I believe the capitation grant for summer provision has been cut. I mean, this makes no sense. It is good to increase the incentives for teachers and SNAs, but to cut the capitation grant, we need to see funding going in to ensure that the students with the most needs are getting the summer supports that they need, so that they can slot back into school, not being adversely affected over the summer. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.